Hello, everybody. Welcome to the course walkthrough for Social Work and Human Services. This walkthrough happens to be created for summer, but hopefully it will be very similar for fall. We'll see how it goes. But in any case, I want to start by saying that this class has undergone a complete redesign. I took it down to the studs and rebuilt it from the ground up. And the reason why I did that was because I removed the textbook. We were using a textbook. It was pretty good textbook, but it was $200. And I could not find a textbook that was less money that I thought was both worth your money and worth the effort of engaging with it and reading it. And, it just didn't make sense to me. So instead, what I've decided to do is to go through and make sure that all the things that we need to cover are covered with other materials. So that's quite a lot of work. I'm basically recreating everything that your textbook did by manually going out and finding what I need. It's a lot of work, and so for summer we are sort of building the plane as we're flying it. That Having done that before, I've been teaching this class for 6 years, almost 7 years, and having done that before, I can tell you that it usually comes with some bumps, but hopefully those bumps are worth the saving you $200 of the textbook. Okay, so that all being said, let me walk you through the structure of how the class is right now. Obviously, mine is going to look a little bit different than yours, so we're going to switch to view as students so that you can see it your way. So it's going to look like this, and things are going to change a little bit. I'm going to change some of these links here, but for the most part, this is what it's going to look like. All right, there is a separate video for the syllabus walkthrough. So I would like for you to make sure that you watch that because it does have important information about, class policies and how the course is graded and all of that stuff. But I'm not going to cover that here. All right, so what am I going to do? So let's take you through to the modules and we'll just kind of take a look. So the modules, you're not going to see everything all at once. Okay, so you're only going to see the very beginnings of the course, and don't panic. I will make everything visible to you relatively soon, but I do find that people find it to be overwhelming when everything is right there in front of you all at once. In the very beginning, you don't even know what's going on yet. So this is how we're going to start. We're going to begin in orientation part 1. It does say begin here, right? And the overview pages don't exist for everything. A lot of times this information has been moved to the hub, which I'll explain in a little bit. But for the orientation module, there is an overview page, and there's some interesting information here, okay? So I'm not going to go through it for you. There's a video on the writing guidelines, so that explains some of this stuff. But what I do want to explain to you is that there's in all the orientation pages, you're going to see this red box that says ensure you've met enrollment requirements. So in all of my classes, the requirements are basically the same, is that you have to complete all of the orientation stuff to a certain level before you can continue on in the course, right? It essentially, this stuff is required for enrollment, and if you don't complete it, you can't stay in the class. It's not complicated. None of this is complicated. It looks like a lot to do because there's a lot of different tasks, but it's actually not that much. So there's sort of your standard introductions post. That's easy enough to do. You have to contribute to that. It doesn't have to be graded. You just have to contribute to it. The videos are going to be here, so you're going to find this video there. So that's where that is already. This assignment here, this getting started adjusting the Canvas settings and using the writing guidelines assignment, can sometimes throw people a little bit for a loop. A couple of reasons. One, if you don't know how to take a screenshot, you're like, uh-oh, what do I do? Most people pull out their phone. Please don't do that. Do not take a picture of the screen with your phone. That's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to see what I need. And even if I can, there's going to be other moments where you need to take screenshots. So if you don't know how to take a screenshot, you can Google it. For whatever device that you're using, and it's not that complicated. So if you need help, let me know, and I'm happy to help you. This assignment has kind of two parts to it. The first part is the notifications. Okay, so there are 4 notifications that you need to make sure are set to immediate. And you're going to find them in your account settings. All right, so there's a little screenshot of that up here. And notifications, Canvas is rolling out a new format. And so different people are going to find this in different places because they roll some people and not others. But for the most part, in notifications under course activities, you're going to find the settings for announcements, grading, submission comments, okay, all under course activities. The default for announcements and grading is immediate notification. However, sometimes people change these, forget that they've changed them, and so they're not set to that. So you're going to want to double check that, and it's going to be in your screenshot anyway, so I'm also going to double check it. Submission comments are not set to immediate by default, so you will absolutely have to change this unless you've already changed it previously for another course. This is because if I grade something and it doesn't receive full credit, or there's something that isn't clear, or I have to for some reason just like figure out communicate with you quickly, we will need to converse about that kind of quickly, right? So the submission comments being set to immediate from, I believe the default is daily notification, makes that conversation happen more quickly. Okay. So conversation messages, that's basically inbox, right? I do prefer that you use inbox once the class has begun to communicate with me, because in the summer it doesn't matter, I only have 2 classes, but in the semester when I have 5 or 6 classes, if you send me an inbox message, it goes to my email anyway, but when I click on it, it takes me to the class that you are in. Okay, and this is way easier for me to address whatever issue you have, so I do prefer inbox. Okay, so optional in settings, setting your pronouns. I really do appreciate if you do that, but you don't have to. So how to submit. Okay, so this is where you get to practice the writing guidelines. Again, different video for that. So how you submit for the writing guidelines. You will need to watch a tutorial if you don't know how to do that, or to watch the video that I made for you. The step-by-step instructions are here. If your document is not shared correctly, I will just say it's not shared correctly. Change it this way, and I'll just kick it back to you, and you'll get credit when it gets all changed and everything. So it's not a crisis if you're confused or it's not perfect. It's okay. We'll deal with it. But do give it a try first. There's step-by-step instructions in the writing guidelines page. They're written out, there's a video, and there's screenshots. So hopefully that will work for you. If it doesn't, absolutely reach out and we can meet. But I will say, if you reach out to me and you haven't done that stuff first, try it first, right? Try to work your way through it first. Okay, so that's this assignment. So after you do that, you're going to get actually directed to the academic integrity module. So if you're clicking through the orientation work and you go to next from here, you're going to end up on this page, which is going to ask you to go to the academic integrity module. Sorry. If you click next, you're going to end up in the wrong place because it's a different module. So just click the link and you're going to look at the policy, and then now you can click the next button if you want to, or you can use this progress bar. But basically, this is really quick. I know you're like, whoa, that's a lot of pages and quizzes and stuff. Yeah, it's a large number of pages and quizzes and stuff, but it's not a lot of information, right? Like it's pretty minimal, right? Like that's one page, and then there's a quiz. It's fine. There's 10 questions on this one. There's even less on all the other ones. So the key here is that you have to get full credit on these academic integrity quizzes in order to move on to the first content module. So just like keep that in mind. You know, there's the pretest. You don't have to get 100% on this one. Actually, I need to change this title because it does say that you do, but you don't. The pretest you don't have to get 100% on, but the other three you do. So that's, again, to ensure that you understand the policy. And again, I know it feels pedantic, like, you know, I'm overly focused on the academic integrity stuff, but it kind of takes over the class if I'm not focused on that, because, you know, then there's some people who are and some people who aren't properly engaging with the class, and it's kind of messy. So, you know, this actually does allow us to focus more on the work that we're doing. Even though in the beginning it feels like kind of a lot. So hopefully you will forgive me for that. Okay, so that's the beginning of the class. And, you know, once you're done with these things and you get the score that you need, then you will be able to access this module here. Okay, so it's gray because, you know, the test student, the profile that I'm in, has not completed those things, so you're not going to be able to open it. But you can see right here what the prerequisites are, right? You have to do these 2 prerequisites before you will be able to access this. Okay, so let's leave student view so that we can actually open those things. So this is your first content module, and the structure has changed, like I said. And so what this actually is I call them a cluster. So the Foundations of Social Work is a cluster, and it's a cluster of different topics. And we have the social work as a profession in California, US, abroad. We have general social work theory, ethical practice, and then history of social work, politics, structure of the social welfare system. So those are the 3 topics within Foundations. And those 3 topics all have a hub. Okay, so you can see here that they're discussions. Actually, the hubs are each discussions, and then here there's no assignment or task associated with social work as a profession. So like there's no essay to write, there's no discussion to engage with. That one is just content module, but there's going to be stuff that you will, you know, need to enter for the quiz, right? So all that stuff is going to be in the quiz, even if there's not an assignment attached to it. But for general social work and the history of social work, you have assignments associated with both of those. So the ecological systems assignment is a core assignment. And then the social work in this historical moment assignment is a standard assignment. Ooh, what does that mean? So, if you've watched the syllabus video already, you know that core assignments are worth 40% of your grade. So altogether, they comprise 40% of your grade. And the standard assignments altogether comprise 20% of your grade. So it's not that they're not important, right? If you don't do them, you're going to have a hard time getting better than a C in the class. But so they are important. However, the core assignments, if you are short on time and you have to make a decision, everything is going to lock at the same time, what do I pick? The core assignment is always going to end up being worth more than the standard assignment. So you should always pick the core assignment if you're in that situation. So the assignments themselves, some of them have videos and some of them do not. This one does, because sometimes people get a little confused about it. But so there's an assignment walkthrough for this one. And there's also like this little quick check. Have you provided your writing guidelines URL? Yes or no? Or yes and huh? Or and also, did you answer both parts of the prompt with distinct ideas for each part for a total of 6 ideas? You would be surprised how often people are like, wait, what? And then they have to go back and resubmit. So make sure that you do the quick checks, because it will kind of help you make sure that you have fulfilled the requirements for the assignments. So in the summer, there's going to be a cluster a week, more or less. And that's going to be what we work on a weekly basis. In addition to that standard work, there's going to be 2 books that you're going to engage with. And those both are going to have their own video. So stay tuned for that. But for now, that will get you started. And if you have any questions about the structure of the class, how we move through the class, often that is answered in the announcement. Okay, so often whatever question that you have is going to be in the weekly announcement that goes out on Sunday, and it didn't this week because the class didn't begin until Monday. But a lot of your questions are going to be answered in the announcement. But if they're not, that's what the hubs are for. Right? Like, you can ask your questions in the hubs about any of the topics, or to me, or to your classmates, or whatever. And if you have a question that you feel like only applies to you, by all means, send me an inbox message. I am happy to help. Okay? So hopefully that's helpful, and we will, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.